Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rouge Rugby podcast. I'm Stu Hardy, and joined, as always, by Derek Brissett. Derek, how you been?
Oh man, not too bad. Pretty enjoyable weekend. Ken men's team got a W. That's always fun. Women's team, bit of a tough match. Some championships going around: Coastal Cup, USports. So pretty exciting week in Canadian rugby. Kind of funny though, like scrolling through Twitter, sort of like the just before we're recording, looking at the weather for the game's gonna happen by the time that this comes out, but the Mexico Canada World Cup qualifier in Edmonton right now being played in like minus 14 and snow. It's hilarious. I love it. Game hasn't quite started yet. Every sport's better with snow, man. It's like we should have it. MLR needs to embrace this, man. Those cold weather cities with the long road trips to start, man. Playing.
I don't know. I remember the Arrows not having the best of luck when they were playing in the snow in 2019. So,
yeah, but how much fun was that game?
For the Arrows, probably not that much.
For the Arrows, not so much, but man, people enjoyed it. I liked there's, I guess, is it the Rugby Network that's doing that like submit like the coldest photo in like MLR history?
Yes,
thing on like social media right now, and I'm seeing like a bunch of, so there's some really cool pictures that are being submitted to that with obviously there's some great photographers that are working around MLR, but it's like most of them are like stuff of like guys doing like super cool things, or like I think I saw one that was like Seattle celebrating that they won the championship with all the sad San Diego fans in the background. As like one of them. There's a cool one with like Kyle Bailey at like the entrance of like Nola's Tunnel. But I saw like somebody did respond with like the picture of like Dan Moore just like freezing in like a foot of snow in the middle of Colorado for that one game. So as Leah, I think, yeah, the literal coldest photo in MLR history.
Yeah, well, any Arrows fan will know that was a nilled game.
No, it's not a great outcome, but
yeah, not a great outcome.
But that's the one thing though, man. It's like people, it's a memorable game because of the snow though.
That's the thing. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That was a nilled game, and now from one nilled game to another, we go to Canada's match against Belgium that happened this Saturday. The final score: Belgium 0, Canada 24. So another win, always nice to see, regardless of who the opposition is. So we'll talk about the scoring first. We had 2 tries, one from Corey Thomas, the other one from Ross Brody. There was one conversion, that was on Thomas's try, and a penalty from Robbie Povey, and then 3 extra penalties from Spencer Jones. But there was some controversy in this game. Michael Smith got a red card in the 18th minute, shoulder to a head in the clear out. I saw the game, so I obviously found out. And it was really weird because they had TMO, but they didn't have the ability to replay the video for viewers at home. So as such, you were just going off what the TMO was saying and what the referee was saying. And the way the referee described it, it did sound very red cardish. And then thanks to Brian Ray, who posted a clip on Twitter, and I saw it as like, yeah, that's a straight red card. Can't really argue with that, unfortunately. I mean, he has clearly been under the influence of Chris Robshaw, who famously last year was getting banned before the start of the season for San Diego, and now it seems that Smith may be going in the same way. Obviously, we have to wait on the official hearing before that, but maybe there's some things you should learn from Robshaw, Michael, and some things you shouldn't, and maybe this we should.
Is Robshaw known for getting a lot of red cards? Is that a thing?
No, but he did have that big thing with getting banned because he broke COVID regulations for the Barbarians.
That's not a red card. It has nothing to do with a red card.
That's not a red card, but it does get you banned from matches. So
I just don't understand why you're blaming Robshaw for this one. I just don't see the correlation.
It's the Welsh in me.
I was gonna say, did the Harlequins beat like the Ospreys that one time, or is that what the?
No, it's because he was the England captain. And that's why.
Oh, right. I forgot. You guys are the same country, yet everyone hates each other. I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, remember how Toronto's part of
How angry did
Remember
that just make
how
you?
Canada's part of the United States? Yeah.
I was gonna say how angry. Yeah, but at the Olympics though? We don't compete as North America, do we? I was just how
Yeah.
angry did I just make you by saying it's the same country?
I've heard it so many times. It's water off a duck's back.
Uh,
Looking forward to the Commonwealth Games where England, Wales, and Scotland will be competing separately,
the way it should be versus
as it should be.
as it should. Yeah, the Olympics
Wales versus their inferiors. Okay, but that wasn't the only card in the game. Eric Howard came on in the second half and within 7 minutes picked up a yellow card himself, which brought the Canucks down to 13 men. However, I will give credit where it's due. Belgium were just not able to capitalize at that point. So that is showing that Canada's defense was able to hold out. And this is the first washout since February 22nd, 2019. Derek, do you know who Canada were playing in that game? Without looking at the notes,
I think we talked about it once or twice over the past couple of weeks here. Kanoa Lloyd had a hat trick, and Canada beat Chile 56-0 2 years ago.
Remember when Canada could beat Chile?
Granted that there's like a global pandemic in between that, it's really like I think like you're saying that. And like it's the first time Canada's got a shutout since 2019, but that's really not that long of a time. Like that's
it wasn't just that. There was a whole World Cup as well.
Yeah, exactly. The whole World Cup though was only like 3 games.
Yeah,
they didn't even get to play the 4th game because of the typhoon.
Oh, they conceded no points in that game. So
there you go. Hey, there we go. Streak's going then. Streaks keeps going.
So at the moment, that puts Kingley Jones's record as head coach of Canada at 13 wins, 1 draw, and 26 losses. So for every game that he's won, there's also been 2 losses to go with it. Like I said, it was a win. Great for the lads. I know we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks of saying that we want the boys to end the year on a high. However, at the same time, 1 win doesn't undo what can safely be regarded as Canada men's worst year of rugby.
No, yeah. I think that is kind of like the 2 schools of thought, I guess, on it. I think it's a little bit, looking at this game, I think there's a little bit of the big picture and kind of small picture sort of takes on it. I think for the small picture, when you look at this game and it's like you said, right? It's like this has been what did you just say? Like with the worst year for the men's national team? Is that what?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's like which is probably correct, right? Obviously, failing to qualify for the World Cup, it's it's I guess the lowest moment for the men's national team. But I mean, I think as you kind of looking back on the year as a whole. And, there's some guys on the Canadian men's national team, like the Arrows guys went through a lot this year playing in Atlanta the whole time, playing in Atlanta the entire season, maybe not as successful as an MLR season that they would have liked to have. There's guys that played on Seattle or, right, that like they, struggled the entire year too. Right. Like, so there's guys that, didn't really have that success at the club level and then came to the international duty and then struggled throughout the entire test window and the World Cup qualifiers didn't go as planned. And I think you kind of see like that Joe Harvey article with Justice Sears Duru kind of talking about what it's been like for them to read some of like the comments and stuff like online or whatever. And I think like you kind of said, it's like the team, like the Belgian team, maybe not as strong a Belgian team as they would like to put on the pitch either. But at the end of the day, like a win's a win. And I think when you kind of look at this game, and it's like it's really nice to kind of see them like at least end from the perspective of the players, like end this season on like a high note, right? And it's not even that they got the win. It's 24-0, as you said. It's a shutout, right? And it's like no matter what level you're at, anytime you get a shutout, right? That's a good performance, right? Like you get something to be definitely, it's a very tangible thing to be extremely happy about. That you can kind of, be a little bit proud of and say, yeah, like we shut out the team. And you kind of mentioned it's like, Belgium and the fact that maybe Belgium was missing some of their best guys, but it's like you can only play, as we kind of mentioned before, right? You can only play the team that's put in front of you, right? And this week it happened to be Belgium. And I think you can kind of see it like on the players' faces at the end of the game, right? Guys were like smiling and stuff again, which is nice to see. It's nice that I just think it's nice to see that they, you know, don't have to necessarily wait for the MLR season to start. And it's like you have something like as difficult as this year has been from the perspective of the players, they have something that they can like, say like, hey, like at least they ended the year with the win, right? It's a like it can build some confidence. It's something positive to end the season on, right? And I think that's a really good thing for the players, as just because obviously like they've struggled this entire year. And I mean, you add some of maybe like the emotional and mental aspect of what this year has been like for a lot of people around the world this past 2 years especially, right? Like it, ending, getting a big, like a 24-0 win, a shutout win, a game that, I mean, when was the last time we like I guess maybe like the United States game in the first leg, but it's like, it's nice to see it's like they were the better team for 80 minutes. Even despite the fact that they lost Michael Smith to a red card with just over an hour left in the game, right? And then
Yeah.
obviously Eric Howard's yellow too, right? They were down to down two men at one point in the game. And um it's so it's nice to see that there was a little bit of adversity that they still had to battle through in this game and come up with the win. But like I agree with you though, like as you kind of said, like that's kind of, I think, the small picture kind of look at it might be a little bit of a confidence boost for the individual players on the team. You get a couple guys that get into their first games and stuff and stuff like that as well. But uh like you said though, the big picture is that a win doesn't erase or change the fact that there's a lot of problems,
Yeah.
right? And with the
Because
organization.
that's my concern is that they're going to
Yeah.
look at 24-0 and see that as
Oh no,
the
no.
like
But like I think that's
band-aid over everything.
no, yeah, and it really shouldn't be like it's night. I think it's great to end the season on a win. Right. I think it's great to end the season on a win. No matter who the opposition is, it's night. It is great. But yeah, like I don't. A win doesn't change the fact that there's definitely problems with the organization. I think there still need to be adjustments. Maybe there still might need to be some personnel adjustments, some strategic adjustments. I even think like you kind of look to the organization as a whole, right? And just like the small like elements of like there needs to be a little bit of a bump in like professionalism and things like that as well, right? Like this is the second week in a row that they post Rugby Canada posted like the match day info, right? Like the lineup, the broadcast information with the wrong kickoff time, right?
Yeah.
For the second week in a row. And even
And
before,
also the fact that they announced a roster change during the
yeah,
game.
yeah. So Brock Webster had to go to the hospital before the game, from what it sounds like, and they put Povey in. But yeah, like there was, I think, even like following the game, like on the Tribe app at points, it was still saying like Webster was kicking the like the penalties and stuff,
Yeah.
and kind of like looking at like watching the game, like it's clearly Povey the whole time. But yeah, that announcement that there's a roster change didn't come until I think like the 70th minute of the game or something like
Yeah.
that, like or whenever that was. But yeah, there's that. But it is though like one of those things that is ultimately also kind of, it's a little concerning to see, right? Like that happened 2 weeks in a row. There's been like there's been issues with like guys appearing on the lineup card twice, like once as a starter, once in the bench, or even guys appearing at like the wrong positions or players' names spelt wrong and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like even though the tweets get deleted and maybe it's like they're anytime it's put out, it's still like it's up long enough for people to notice, right? And it's like, yeah, and it does go to show you that there is things that need to be changed within Rugby Canada. But like so like yeah, the win doesn't hide that. I don't think the win should hide that or mask it, but I also don't think, especially for the players, like they should be proud of the win, and like they should be able to like enjoy it a little bit. And it's like, it's things aren't going to change necessarily overnight, but it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't change the big picture that there is things that need to be addressed and there's changes that need to be made. But it's nice to see the players have a smile on their face again, and being able to kind of enjoy a win, and at least end the season on a high, and maybe that builds some positive vibes and a little bit of momentum for them moving forward as Canada, now that this year is done, the goal really does transition to like, what do next year, looking at 2022, and starting the process to get back to the World Cup for 2027 and work on winning, aim toward winning that qualifier, and getting back like on top and stuff. Like I said, it's like you kind of look at it, it's like Chile and Portugal are teams that we would never lose to, right? And it's like both those countries handed Canada their first loss, and even like looking at Belgium, and it's like it's a depleted Belgium team, and it's a depleted Belgium team, and it's like it's 24-0, and Canada should have won that game, and it's nice to see that they did win that game, right? Because sometimes sometimes you kind of look at in sports, and you end up like there's sometimes games where you're gonna be the favorite, and you probably Canada, as much as Canada struggled, Canada probably would still be like a betting favorite in a game like this. So nice to see that they can get the win, and just like I said, I just hope it's like a little bit of like the players. I just like seeing some like smiles back on the faces of some guys, and hopefully
Yeah.
it's nice to a bit of a morale boost for the actual players on the team, even though there still is certain things that need to happen. Great to see, like, Corey Thomas, just a try scoring machine.
Yeah.
Lovely setup from Ben Lesage on the play too. Nice to see him kind of get a nice big line break, and set up that try, 'cause that was brilliant from him. And then Ross Brody kind of chasing down his own box kick too was kind of great, and pouncing on for that try. And Povey did well with the boot in order to you know add a couple extra points on the board, keep the scoreboard ticking over. So um I mean, was it a perfect game? No, but it's I'm happy to see the win. I hope the players get a little bit of time off before MLR training camp starts up again, and can kind of maybe enjoy a little bit of time off, get mentally reset a little bit, and then focus on having a great MLR season. And then once the MLR season's over, we'll see what kind of test matches and stuff Canada has lined up, and work on building back up to get to the World Cup in 2027.
Yeah, it's you know, as I said, I don't want this to be a band-aid over the systemic problems that seem to be in Rugby Canada, especially for the men's team at the moment.
I don't. I
However,
I honestly don't
that
think.
performance review is, however, but for the men's 15s, men's sevens, and women's sevens is set to be done between now and I believe the first quarter of next year. So hopefully
Yeah, I
we
can't
can.
remember what they said, but yeah, I guess they're doing one.
Neither can I. But and of course, if anything we've known from COVID is that dates can change in a heartbeat. So,
Mhm.
but I'm obviously thrilled for the players that they were able to get the win, able to end the year on a somewhat high. I think it's only now a month or so until preseason starts for
Mhm.
MLR. So get the rest, lads, and we'll see you in on February 5th as the MLR season kicks off. However, the men's team weren't the only team out in Europe. It was also Canada against the world number ones, England. And unfortunately, that wasn't a shutout. Unfortunately for Canada, that was a very impressive performance by the Red Roses. England 51, Canada 12. So there were tries from Paige Farries and Sabrina Poulin, and only one conversion from Brianna Miller, all happening within the first half. Canada kept it close in the first half, but then second half, there's a reason why they're the world number ones. England just
because they're slaughtering teams. That's
yeah, well, at least you can say, well, it's not just Canada. It was like the Black Ferns as well.
yeah.
I'm sure the USA are going to be put to the sword next week as well. So you can be like, yeah, well, it's not just us. And speaking of that, Ireland put a good performance up against the USA as well, and even the French women beat the Black Ferns as well. And
30,
this is the
38
thing.
to 13 too. Like
Exactly. So this is the thing, is that while COVID has been going on, the Women's Six Nations has still been happening, which means that these 6 teams are still having game time. They're still having training. They're still preparing for these games, and they've just had more time together. Remember, Canada had their first game in 2 years on November 1st.
yeah.
That's just over 2 weeks ago. So I think the overall plan was the damage limitation as opposed to an outright victory. Although even the England head coach was very humble and said, this Canada team is completely different from playing the Black Ferns, even though they are ranked above Canada in the world rankings. They said that in the comparative time of, I think, about 20 or 25 minutes into the game against Canada, the previous week, England had put 21 points against
The first
the Black Ferns.
the first half of this game was really tight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As in, it just was a case of, I think at halftime it was something like 23-12 or something like that. So,
Yeah,
a try either side could have really made the difference for Canada.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Is like England scored a try at the end of the half. It was Cowell. Cowell got a try at the end of the half, and then Byrne got her second try of the game, like really early in the second half. And it's like it's giving up 2 tries like on either side of halftime. I think that's what sort of like swung the momentum. And then obviously the second half, the floodgates just kind of opened. I think though too, like probably important to mention for Canada, like some of their best players or some of their really talented players, especially Sophie de Goody, were absent because they were playing at the USports women's rugby championship over the weekend too, right? So there's a couple players from the squad that were missing, but overall, like you said, like the first half was really good, right? Paige Ferries too, like the defense, like that was a great read, to kind of obviously intercept that ball, and then speed to Byrne speed to Byrne, right? Like once she caught that, like there was no catching her, right? So that was a great try. Poulin, obviously another really nice, well worked try too. And so it's like Canada was playing well, right? And it's like they were doing well at the ruck. They were doing well at they were doing very well in the set piece too, right? They got like they were they were winning penalties against the feed on England, right? Like the number one team in the world, right? And they were like destroying their scrum. So that I think is a huge positive that they can definitely carry forward into into the game against Wales coming up this weekend, but also just kind of like, it's, I think with knowing that the Women's World Cup is coming up next year, right? It's like all these games kind of feel like they have like there is that little bit of like that World Cup, like kind of feeling out thing. So I think part of it is like, oh, hey, like for Canada, especially, you can go like, oh, hey, like we can, like we have an edge on England in the scrum right now, right? So it's, you do have to kind of turn that around and be able to prevent them from putting up over 50 points on you. But but like I don't know, like I know you mentioned that like the Six Nation countries have been playing, and but I still think like this is a pretty big been a pretty big like message sending month for the Red Roses though. Like they pummeled the Black Ferns back to back, right? 43-12, 56-15. So that's the number 2 ranked country in the world. and then Canada's the number 3 ranked country in the world, is right, and they just beat them 51-12.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I mean, you're putting up almost about 150 points in 3 games on the number 2 and number 3 ranked team in the world. Right. So I know, as you said, it's like maybe they haven't, other countries haven't played as much as England, but like, it's a pretty big, I think, being pretty much exactly 1 year out from the World Cup. It's been a pretty big like message sending November for the Red Roses. So there's some work to be done if you want to be lifting a trophy this time next year.
Well, the fact you mentioned that Sophie de Goody was back in Canada as opposed to competing in this test match against England.
I was going to say, should we just talk about that game now? Might as well segue right into it.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention is that so while the men have finished, Canada will be playing against Wales women. That'll be held on this coming Sunday, and if you want to watch that, it'll be on the TSN app or tsn.ca, possibly on one of the TSN channels, but at the moment it's definitely going to be online. So Ms. De Goody, what was she up to? Well, she was in the USports Championship, part of Queen's women team, up against Ottawa. And of course, if you got De Goody on your team, you're going to get the Winnie. So Queens defeated Ottawa 26-18. I don't care.
I don't know if I can let that one slide. That was bad.
If you get the good, you get the win. There you go.
Okay.
So Jaden Walker won the game with a match-winning try. De Goody was the championship MVP as well as the USports Women's Player of the Year. Madeline Kusher was the Queen's top performer, with Claire Gallagher being Ottawa's top performer. I only saw segments of this game as it was posted on the USports social media feeds. But Derek, I'm guessing that you saw this entire final.
Yeah, I did watch the final. So Sophie de Goody might genuinely be the most entertaining rugby player in the world right now. And yeah, like this was basically like, there's a reason why she's the championship MVP player of the year. She was directly involved in all of all the Queen's tries. She had the 2 try assists, scored a try herself. Right. And I mean, like, did you see her try? I know you said you saw clips, because it's like a forward.
Yes.
You did?
Yeah, I saw her try.
Yeah, like a forward should not be able to do that. Which is
this isn't a forward. This is Sophie de Goody.
I know, exactly. It's mind-boggling. Like, you kind of watch, like I said, it's like you look at the game that she had, right? So she has a try herself. She helped set up the first try. She helped set up Walker's try, which eventually went, which, as the way it kind of turned out, eventually was like the final try. De Goody added a couple penalties for some insurance after, but so she sets up 2 tries, scores a try herself, kicks the conversions and the penalties. But like her try too is just, I don't think there's too many teams playing defense that are like, oh, the number 8 is going to try a grubber kick from 10 meters away from the try line, and just, sneaks it through, chases onto it, and grounds it herself. Grounds it, like, think of like how like crazy it is to be like, in this game, you watch the number 8 do a grubber kick from like 10 meters out, ground it, and then gather the ball, walk back, and kick the conversion herself too. Right. Like, it's like, it's amazing, right? Like, I think you kind of look at, like, we got like some of the player of the year nominations for World Rugby came out, and I'm like, you kind of look at it, it's like Mero Itoje is not going to do that ever.
No.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Anton Dupont's not getting up in the line out.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, Karevi, I don't know. Maybe he'll do something. I don't know if he plays more than 5 games. Maybe he does venture into doing some of this stuff. But um, right. But it's like, and who's the other forward? Like, yeah, Hooper's
Michael
not doing
Hooper.
that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Hooper's not like doing any of this either, right? And it's like this game is if you haven't one, I would highly recommend watching it. It's basically an 80-minute Sophie de Goody highlight reel, barring maybe the one kick that was charged down by Ottawa and resulting in Ottawa's first try of the game, minus that tiny blemish. But it's like, yeah, like she like watching her play, it's like, I don't know, like it'd be interesting because it's like, I don't know how you defend it that well. Like if she's like, because she plays like 8, has all the skills that you want out of an 8, can jump up in the line out, unreal work rate, great at the breakdown. She was like, she's getting turnovers and stuff throughout this game too. So great in the breakdown, just everything like good, like with ball in hand, great ball carrier that does all that you want out of the number 8. But then she's got like the distribution ability of a fly half. She's got the kicking ability of a fly, like, what I mean? She's like, like it's just such like a bizarrely, like such a well-rounded game that I don't think like there is really replicated by any other player in the world, because
Yeah.
nobody like, and it creates a really interesting thing for like, well, for Queens or for Canada, right? Because it's like, I don't know how many other teams have seen a player like this, right? And it's like, if
Yeah.
you
It's
right,
hard to
like,
prepare against
yeah, exactly.
Sophie
It's
de
hard to
Goody.
prepare against something that it's right. Like you kind of look at like watch this game and stuff, and it's like, when she gets the ball, it's like you can see like the hesitation of defenses being like, what I mean? Like, hey, like we're kind of like talking about like the men's team sometimes, and it's like, well, it's like if like the 8 gets the ball, it's like it's probably just running into contact, right? And it's like when the Goody gets the ball, you're kind of like, well, she could run into contact, or she can throw a 25-meter cutout pass to the winger, like,
Yeah.
or she could grubber it through. And it's like, don't know what we're defending against right now, right?
Mm.
um and I don't know, it's one of those things that it's like, it makes you like really like, I mean, going into a World Cup next year and stuff, like it makes, I think she's the type of player that kind of makes you like really really excited to be a Canadian rugby fan. And I think it'll be fun to watch. Like it's super entertaining. Like I feel like if you were like, I'm gonna design a perfect rugby player, it's like, this is probably like, you're probably just copying what like
What
Sophie
the
de Goody
Goody's
brings to
doing.
the
Yeah.
table, because like she's a forward that has back skills, and she uses both equally brilliantly throughout a game. So it's could future nightmares for all defense coaches around the world.
Yeah. Future women's player of the year. Definitely.
Player of the year. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move from U Sports. We're going to head out west for the final time because it was the final weekend of the Coastal Cup. And I know everyone wants to talk about the big game. That's right. UBC defeated Tide 31-20. And in the pseudo final, I suppose we'll call it, it went to the Wave, who won 26-17 to lift the Coastal Cup for the first time, which interestingly is not a cup. It's it's similar to the design that is used for the Sevens. I believe it's a Thunderbird that's of indigenous
Yeah. It's like
design.
the totem pole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not a cup.
It
So
looks super cool though.
it looks great,
It
but it's
looks
not a
great.
cup.
No,
Um,
I love the design of the trophy. I think that's exactly what like the Coastal Cup needs. Like that is a perfect trophy. I loved it.
it's a
Um,
great trophy, but you need to be able to pour beers in it and then drink out of it
who says you can't?
physics. So
Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know. I didn't see it. I'm sure somebody figured it out. It's a rugby team. They figured it out.
yeah, definitely. But no, an absolutely great performance from the Wave to go unbeaten in this inaugural season. We're hoping for great things next year, and of course, congratulations to Curry Hitchborn, because when he was on the show, he was talking about getting this competition set up. And not only has it been set up and run, it's been run very successfully. We're hoping that, more success will be coming when it's run again next year. And to be honest, with the Women's World Cup taking place in New Zealand, it may be the only rugby competition that will be available at an accessible time in Canada. So you never know. But again, congratulations to the Wave. Well done to the Pride as well for making it to the final,
Yeah.
I suppose, of losing only to Pride. The remaining standings of UBC were tied with the Pride, only losing out on a very small different point difference. Was only 12 between the Pride and UBC, and try difference was only 2 tries. So
Yeah.
it's like those thin margins that just put UBC third. Van East had a even season, 3 wins, 3 losses on 16 points. The Tide, 2 wins, 4 losses, left them on 10. UVic, 1 win, 5 losses, left them with 8. And Trinity Western, unfortunately, were whitewashed with 6 and 0 points, which is a shame. But here's hoping that next year they can come back and hopefully they'll have a better performance, to put it nicely. But
I think,
yeah,
yeah, I think overall, I mean, like, we had Curry on the podcast, earlier, and mentioning, how much he thought that this competition was needed. And I think, I think the first year of it went exceptionally well. The like you said, it was a round robin tournament that, just because, I guess the rugby gods saw us put it in the cards, that it ended up being that what we essentially got to see on Saturday was a championship game between the Vancouver Wave and Pacific Pride, and it was a very entertaining game. It kind of went like, I think a lot of games for the Wave have kind of gone, where they were just, as the 6-0 record indicates, they were just the better team. Um, from the jump. Mike Maloney, had 3 penalties, in quick succession. Get them off to a quick 9-0 lead, and then Maloney also helped set up Powdrill's try as well, right? So there was and showing all the reasons why he's the leading scorer of the tournament too, and so that, like, it was a really good game. And then obviously kind of the Pride kind of made it super interesting towards the end, with 2 late tries within the final 10 minutes of the game. But like, sometimes, in rugby, like, if you let a team get up to a 9-0 lead really quickly, like, that's kind of, that's a pretty big hole that you have to kind of climb out of, especially, looked like it was a little bit wet out there too, right? So, it was a good physical contest again. We kind of did mention, I know we mentioned earlier, the Vancouver Wave and, the Vancouver Rugby Union. They lost one of their teammates earlier in the year, Dan Wigley, and they honored him all year with nobody wearing 5, and they kept the 5 jersey on the sidelines. And it so, and then obviously they put in, obviously there's a little bit of motivation there, right? And they put in an unreal 6-0 performance. The first season of the Coastal Cup, and we already have an undefeated Grand Slam champion of it. So brilliant performance from them. Nice to see, all the players kind of rally and be able to put together such a phenomenal season for them. And I thoroughly enjoy, like, all the Coastal Cup games are still up on YouTube. Like, if you have not had the chance to kind of watch it, there's obviously university teams in this competition as well. So, like, guys that could potentially be eligible for, like, the MLR draft next year. There's guys that are already signed by MLR teams. The Pride has a bunch of guys that are already signed by MLR teams. Van East had a couple guys signed by MLR teams, right? Like, if you know what I mean, like, if you're into MLR, you're interested in seeing, like, where some of the next wave of players might be coming from, right? Like, the Coastal Cup's an awesome place to 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 see some of that talent, right? And all the games are on YouTube. Like, go check it out.
Yeah.
The final, if you haven't watched it, it is a really great game. I guess if you haven't watched it, I just kind of spoiled the outcome for you. But like, this is a news podcast, so I mean, we assume that um we assume that you've at least maybe possibly know the results. But I would, yeah, definitely, go check it out. Go watch all the Wave games, man. Like, they kind of, I mean, they were the best team. Like, they were clearly the best team when you look at it through the course of all six games, right? And their record shows, the record is, the record shows, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, 6-6-0, the first Coastal Cup champions, Vancouver Wave, right? So it's, you know, yeah, just congratulations to the Vancouver Wave, everybody in that organization, and congratulations to all six or all seven teams and all, everybody that was involved in the first year of the Coastal Cup, because it was a lot of fun to watch. It's something that, as we've kind of seen, like this, you know, I think a lot of topics of conversation over the past month have been like what Canada needs to do in order to kind of, for at least for the men's national team, to kind of dig themselves out of the hole that we currently find ourselves in, right? And I think, introducing some of these competitions like the Coastal Cup, I think is something that does need to be done, right? And it's great to see the first year kind of, was a success and it was enjoyable. It was nice to see, like, it was nice to see, even as the game was happening, like, people tweeting about it, people following along with the games. And the it looks like too, like, even like seeing like the schools accounts and stuff, like for the teams that are affiliated with schools anyways, like, like not just like the rugby teams Twitter accounts, but the main like school accounts and the main school feeds were, putting out there that like their teams were playing in the Coastal Cup. And people kind of kept talking about it. I saw, Patrick Johnston, at Rising Action on Twitter, like, one of, he covers the Canucks and a lot of rugby in BC and in Canada, right? And it's like, but like the fact that he covers the Canucks too is like, that's a, like, he has a huge audience that extends beyond rugby, and he's talking about the Coastal Cup on his Twitter feed, right? So that's obviously a great thing to see as well. Just kind of, grow the profile of the game. And I hope that this competition continues going forward, because I really enjoyed what they put together in their first year. And I'm already looking forward to the Wave being given a chance to defend the title next year. So, as I said, congrats to the Wave, congrats to everybody involved with the squad, and congrats to everybody involved with the Coastal Cup this year, because it was a lot of fun. And I think we need to see. I think we need a little bit more of this type of competition in Canada. And it'll, I can't wait. I hope, I'm excited to see how it grows going forward.
Yeah, a few other details is that Brian Fitzpatrick scored the most tries with 6 for Van East. But as you mentioned, like Mike Maloney scored 3 tries. He scored 12 conversions. He also scored 9 penalty goals. So therefore, no surprise that he was the highest point scorer of the competition with 66 points.
Mhm.
Then Brian Fitzpatrick, as I just mentioned, was on 46. Mark Belaski as well. And yeah, like you mentioned, there are some names from the Pride that are going to be heading over to MLR. So, for example, James O'Neill, who was drafted for LA, scored the final try of the match.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a good resource to have for men's Canadian rugby. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how it grows next year. So we actually are going to mention some other MLR trading and signing news, because Dallas have been very busy this past week. We were talking about the Pacific Pride earlier. Dallas have signed Dewald Dewey Cotsey to join Dallas for next year from the Pride. Dewey, as he's known, is Canadian eligible. I believe he's played for Canada in the under 20s. Again, I probably should have researched this. But from LA, Dylan James will be joining Dallas. From my old team, the Ospreys, Todd Gleave is joining Dallas as well. And recently announced was the trade from Rugby ATL is Adrian Carlsey. Very popular player for Rugby ATL, did a lot of work to help get the team to the MLR final of 2021. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Adrian does in Dallas. Now, in New England, they've got a signing from the Chelsea Sharks, is LaRue Milan, who's joining them. But I think probably the biggest signing news of the week is that Houston have signed from the USA Sevens Christian Dyer. Christian was originally drafted to be with Rugby United New York. He then opted to try and join the USA Sevens teams for the Olympics. When he was unsuccessful, he got the call from Gary Gold to come over for the European tour of the summer and has been involved in the team through the qualification process, both against Canada and against Uruguay. So, he's obviously a very good player, but, he gets to have a season of MLR action, which I'm sure Rugby United New York would be a bit miffed that he didn't choose them. But, he's needed where he's needed. And, obviously we've been saying that Houston are going through a rebuild in this off season at the moment. And I think Dyer definitely has the capabilities of making a big impact at the Aviva Stadium. So, yeah, here's hoping that we see him put in a great performance from February 5th onwards, except when he's playing against Toronto. Then he can have an off day. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so if you want to watch any rugby this weekend, the English Premiership is still going on Sportsnet. The Autumn Nation Series is in its final weekend. That will be on DAZN. And as we said, for the Women's International, including the USA versus England and Canada versus Wales, that will hopefully be on a TSN broadcast channel, but it will definitely be on tsn.ca or the TSN app. All right, we are going to end the podcast there. If you enjoyed listening or watching this episode, you can follow us on any podcasting channel. We're on Anchor FM as well as Spotify and on YouTube. And if you want to get in touch with us over social media, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Rouge Rugby. Derek, if people want to contact you on social media, where should they go?
Yeah, pretty easy to find me. It's the same act across all social media platforms. Just Brissett the Jet. You can basically find me anywhere.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is Hardman, spelled H4RDMAN. That's Hardman with H4RDMAN. Well, Derek, thank you for joining me for another episode, and thank you for joining us for this episode. And we hope that you'll join us for the next one.